Hey guys, welcome back to the show. We're going to do the amateur show matches. I know they were supposed to be earlier today, but due to the patch being down, we decided to move up bros before throws. Watch Rex do some regulating action there. But now that he's had his chance to body slam a few of his coworkers, we're on to the amateur show matches. This is a pretty cool event we're going to start doing every Wednesday. If you want to play, you can sign up in the forums. If you show a good performance there, you maybe move you up to Kings of the Crisis or something. Also, if you win, you get a whole bunch of cool codes, maybe costumes, maybe merit, bunch of cool stuff for the game. So grab your buddies, go to the forums, and sign up for an amateur Wednesday show matches. This match, in fact, actually, I think we're going to be in a match fairly shortly. It's going to be Leary and his team, which they're going under the name JLA, which does not stand for what you think it stands for. Well, maybe it does. It stands for Just Like to Assassinate, which I'm sure is what everyone was thinking of when he talked about JLA.
It sounds like they're missing that letter there.
Yeah. Well, the 2 is kind of just snuck in there, because Just Like Assassinate doesn't really sound like a proper name. But looks like we're in the lobby right now here. We can see exactly what's going on now. They did a draft before the lobby started, but they launched it in blind pick mode because they didn't really have all enough champions to do the full draft mode. So they did kind of a pseudo draft type of thing going on there. And we can see their picks right now. What do you think of these teams?
Well, right now we see Green Arrow on Leary's team, and we got Gaslight Batman. So I think that's a good matchup for the marksman-wise. Well, for blasters, you got Joker. We got matched with Gas Cat and Atomic Poison Ivy. I think that is a great combination for Green Arrow and Atomic Poison Ivy bottom lane.
Laker Cody still hasn't picked his champion yet. There's a couple champions here we don't see picked. We see picked here that we don't see the pro gamers pick quite as much. And I would say Poison Ivy, there was a time when she was a really common champion among the pro teams. We haven't seen her being played as much lately. What do you think about using Poison Ivy in your team comp?
I think Poison Ivy is great for the team comp. With her, she's got the most, I think, healing capabilities for the team for controlling.
Yeah, I mean, that's absolutely true. And in fact, if you look at Leary's team, they don't have anyone who can heal. I mean, there's not a single person with any heal. The closest thing they have to a heal is the fact that Joker's passive gives him power lifesteal. That's it, right?
I mean, you got Terminus going Atomic Poison Ivy with the healing wave.
Oh, you're right. Stolen power there.
Stolen power. So you definitely can tell that he's going to be a controller.
Yeah. And I always really love watching the kind of 2 different types of controllers. When you've got when you have one controller who's based on healing and one controller who's based on kind of using roots and controlling with abilities that attack the opponent instead of helping your teammates. It's a very different style of controller there. Now, I think what happened is did one of them...
It looked like one of them did not pick their champion.
Okay. Yeah. So we'll try to get that game restarted in just a second, and we'll get that one going. But in the meantime, what we'll see, obviously they did a draft pre-game, so they'll be able to get that. It'll be the exact same champion picks we saw, with the exception of the one person, the mystery champion, we can see. But it is a match between JLA, Just Like to Assassinate, led by Leary, and Raw Material, led by... Actually, I forget who's on our team. We'll find out soon, though. It should be a great match, and this is one of those matches that we as Turbine really going forward, we're trying to make as many opportunities for everyone out there who wants to play the game a bit more competitively. You guys play the game, you love it, and you're like, hey, I've been doing pretty well here. I'm accumulating merit and leveling up, but I want something more. I want to be able to compete in an arena. I want to be able to see how me and my buddies stack up against another team. So this is kind of the first step. You sign up for these amateur matches. You get some free skins and codes and whatnot. And going forward, there's going to be more open tournaments, and you can get into some of the pro scene like Kings of the Crisis or the PAX East Invitational. There's a lot of stuff opening up for you guys if you just stay tuned to the forums.
It really helps these amateur teams get known. I mean, like we're doing tonight, where we got 2 teams going to be on the stream.
Yeah, and these are guys who get a chance to get their names out there. Another good example is at the PAX East, we had the $25,000 pro tournament. We also had the amateur tournament. And some of those teams that won the amateur tournament are now starting to participate in the community. We've seen them post. They might be here next week, so we might get to see some of them play. And they were looking pretty scary. I mean, this game is still in its new developing stages, so there's lots of room to kind of make your name and go out there as one of the better players.
Yeah, that finals for that amateur match was a great match.
Yeah, it was. It was. You know what was really cool about that, the amateur tournament we had at PAX, was that we could see one team led by Paradigm, and they had just a lot of experience in Infinite Crisis. Paradigm's been around forever. He's been playing in all our games. He's an awesome guy. You can talk to him on the forums, on Reddit, etc. And his team was the one that ended up winning. But another team got all the way to the grand finals, ended up getting second place. There was a bunch of newcomers to Infinite Crisis. So they were called W2 Deep. And now they're starting to get involved. But before, they were just a team that played League of Legends and stuff. And then they hey, this game looks cool. They showed up. And they're like, wow, we actually can make it pretty far. They did lose in the finals, but now they can get a little more experience and figure out what's going on.
Yeah, with the amateur scene still starting up, it gives these new teams a wonderful chance to really get on the circuit.
It absolutely does. It's a great opportunity to get your name out there and get your kind of your boots wet, because when you play in a team format, this is one thing we're going to see today is how do these players work together in a 5-on-5. It's very different when you're playing a coordinated 5-on-5 than when you're just solo queuing into ladder. Because there's a higher expectation of teamwork, and if you don't meet that expectation, you're playing against a team that probably does have a lot of coordination, a lot of teamwork. They're all team speak and work together.
It's going to show if they don't have that team coordination to match who they're going up against.
Absolutely, and it's so different. It's interesting because I have to really shift my style when I play a lot on the ladder as an individual, and sometimes I play with a couple buddies. And when you play as an individual, you never know exactly how your team is going to move, and so you tend to play a lot more conservatively. But when you play as a coordinated team, if you watch the pros, conservative play is really not the most optimal way to play the game for the most part. You want to be aggressive, but you have to have everything coordinated so well to make aggressive plays work out.
And not only you need that coordination, but you also need that right team comp.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if you and your buddies all like to jungle well, you could try running 5 junglers. That'd be pretty interesting.
I think it only worked for really that initial
Maybe the first 3 minutes, and then you'd clear all the jungle camps, and then you'd realize all your towers are going down. But it'll be fun.
Like 5 junglers is going to clear that jungle too fast for anyone to keep leveling up.
Probably pretty quick. I've actually always wondered, though. One thing I've thought is I think a lot of teams haven't really figured out the most optimal way to play Gotham Divided yet. I think there's a lot of potential in Gotham Divided to actually run more hybrid jungle champions. And I saw this once by one of the pro teams where they actually, instead of they had the one mostly dedicated jungler, but then he also had a couple other teams that kind of a couple other members that rove from lanes to jungle back and forth when needed. But actually, we finally got the game restarted. Now we can see the players picking their champions, and we'll kind of see how things play out.
And that mystery champion looks like it'll be Doomsday.
Ooh, Doomsday, Crashy's favorite champion. He loves Doomsday. We'll see how that works. So, judging by his stolen powers, it looks like they don't have anyone who's really going to be jungle. Oh, no. They're going to jungle Gaslight Joker.
Yeah, with Detonate.
That's interesting. Normally, you would jungle Doomsday and have Gaslight Joker top lane, but actually, they're both Gaslight Joker and Doomsday are champions that actually can do well in a solo lane and in the jungle. So, it's interesting to see them choosing a route that's a little bit different than the way you see most of the pros play. And this actually might be a good way to play it.
Could we also see Doomsday as kind of like that sub jungler that you were just talking about?
I would actually really love to see them do that. I think there's room to do a more sub jungler if your bottom lane competition feels more free to not always be both in bottom lane, because to really rove, you have to have one of the bottom lane people be willing to come up to cover mid, and the mid lane guy can either jungle or cover top for a second, and then you can kind of do a lot of rotations. But It's so much. It's a little more simpler to just play like, let's say, do Gaslight, Batman, and Poison Ivy in the bottom. Just have them in the bottom the whole time.
Yeah, and you can see with Doomsday getting teleport, he's already setting up for that possible if he needs to jump right to the bottom lane, mid lane, wherever he may be. So we could see him as a sub jungler. We
definitely could. Now on the other team, they only have one teleport on their team. So we have Leary's team, just like to assassinate. They only have one teleport. Whereas Raw Material, they're going with 4 teleports. So a lot more mobility. And are we going to see Marlin Squad, Raw Material really utilize that mobility, or will it not work out?
Well, it's really going to determine who's going to be in the jungle at first. I mean, you're going to see Gascat for Just Like to Assassinate clearly as their main jungler. And with just one teleport, it could go either way. I mean, they have the cameras to really give them that spot to teleport to.
Yes, they do. They have a lot of cameras. We could see her jungle. We could see her go top lane because teleport. The top lane are so far away. Often you like to have a teleport. Now, their bottom lane composition, I think, is one of the scariest pairs of champions in the game. I think they're going to run Green Arrow and a top Poison Ivy in the bottom lane. And when you run a marksman like Green Arrow, who's unique in that his ultimate can do so much damage if he can land it, if he charge it up fully, with a champion that can actually knock people down consistently. A Tom Poison Ivy has a root ability that you cannot dodge.
And he also has that wall that slows them down anyways.
Yeah.
And with Green Arrow being able to close gaps or get away, there's such a great team composition for the bottom lane.
I've seen that composition used quite often, and I've seen it too super often as well. Now, the disadvantage is if a lot of the power of it is when you engage, you can stop them from running away with the roots, and Green Arrow can dish out damage. But the area you can get a little bit of trouble in is if you fall behind, maybe some early ganks, maybe they just outlane you, then it's hard to play from behind because stopping someone from moving isn't as useful if you can't engage him because you're weaker.
Yeah. And so we see with we got Doomsday. Where is he? Let's see here.
He's lurking.
They seem to be doing the same exact thing. Both teams going on a full 5, trying to set up for that bottom lane early game gank.
Now, Gaslight Joker hasn't bought any items quite yet, so maybe he's waiting, but if they're going to engage right now, it would have been more useful to have him. He's going in deep, and he just gets wrecked. Oh, man, this is not looking good for Team Marlin and his Raw Material. They already lost 1. Now they're pulling back, though. I'm actually surprised they were to pull back with only losing 1 champion.
It seemed like Gaslight Joker didn't really, get anything different by waiting for that first back.
Yeah, I mean, now he's got his items. I think it was one of those things where he's like, you know what? I'm just going to be bold. I think he was watching Rex play, and he just wanted to get in there and smash some heads.
He thought he only had 1 speed.
Yeah, his speed was forward, but unfortunately...
It wasn't win.
It wasn't win, exactly, not yet. Now, an early death like that you can see, there's a 500 credit difference. That's not the end of the world by any means. I mean, it's nice to get the credits, but one of the big things that happens when you die is that the opposing team can then either get free farm, they can grab an objective or something like that. But that early into the game, there weren't any objectives ready, there wasn't any drones in lane, so he didn't lose anything beyond just the 500 credits.
But it seems like that 1 kill went to Leary, Shazam, and that really could be a changer for... because it seems like he might be going a little bit jungling as well.
And Shazam's one of those champions that can really snowball if he can start stacking some items and get some crazy power damage spike. From my experience, what I've seen so far is the champions that you really don't want to have feeding them a lot of credits early on in the game are the ones that are very bursty in their abilities, because if they get some early items, then they're even more bursty, and it's just too much early damage output for low-level champions to withstand. And Shazam is one of those champions who's almost pure damage right from the get-go when he just pops all his abilities.
Yeah, and Shazam being a bruiser, he's also one of the tankiest bruisers there is for champions.
He's not one of those guys that if he gets ahead, you can focus him down and try to deal with him. He's just too darn tough to take down.
Oh, and his shield and his slow makes him even harder to take down.
Absolutely. We'll have to see how he fares. Right now, he's just farming at the jungle. Already level 2. Down in the bottom lane, we haven't really seen too much action. Both teams content to just try to farm the drones here, and what they're looking to do is try to get as many last hits as possible, because the way the laning phase in Infinite Crisis works is you see these coins on the ground. If you don't last hit a drone, you can still pick up the coin if you're bold enough to run in there, but you only get half the credits. Whereas if you get the last hit, you get full credit value. So it's really important if you want to maximize your farm to make sure you're last hitting every single drone.
And when you're last hitting, that coin doesn't drop, so it goes automatically right into you.
That's right. And often it's even if the coins drop, it's often really hard to pick them up if they're in a spot where you don't really want to move your champion or take too much return damage. And look at this. Shazam's lurking, but they're pushed so far back in the lane. They really wisely have that surveillance camera, so he won't really be getting anything done there.
Yeah, Shazam knows that they have the camera, and it's clear to see that Poison Ivy and Gasbat see that he's there, and they're gonna back off while Leary's trying to lurk.
Now we saw this kind of early gank coming in from Team Raw Material, and it did force Gaslight Catwoman back a bit, but they didn't really try to go for that EMP drop. Instead, trying to clear a random jungle camp. That's not going to work. Actually, Gaslight Joker's forced back. No, he's not. I was just kidding. He's just going to turn around and push around Gaslight Catwoman some more.
I mean, you got two bruisers, and a bruiser and enforcer at the top lane. It's going to be really hard for Gascat to really push and do anything up there when she's also trying to get the EMP drone.
Yes, and that's something that's actually interesting, because we haven't yet seen any team take those EMP drops. Now, we have seen Raw Materials be a little more focused on the objectives. In fact, they've already gotten their health camp, their speed camp, and Gaslight Joker's crossing the other side of the map. He's trying to grab the Speed Destroyer camp from Team Just Like to Assassinate right now.
And Gaslight Joker's able to do that because Doomsday's covering the top lane. You know, we see that hybrid jungle able to really cover lanes for the other people.
He absolutely is, and also it's an interesting choice from Leary as Shazam is not prioritizing objectives at all. Really trying to clear jungle camps, but only taking the easy jungle camps, not those destroyer ones that drop deployable objectives.
Well, it seems like Leary's also able to take away Raw Materials jungle, just like Doomsday's doing.
He is. It's kind of an interesting trade-off. Now, at the bottom, we did see the first EMP drop. It did go to Team Just Like to Assassinate, as that Green Arrow and the Tom Poison Ivy combo has kind of pushed back the Gaslight Batman and Poison Ivy. So Poison Ivy face-off there, both green. One of them has a little more plant in her than the other.
So it seems Leary is helping out his team Just Like to Assassinate at the top fairly well.
Yeah, Doomsday's really been pushed back there. Gaslight Catwoman's coming in. The one thing with the top lane that I've noticed is that pushing the lane can be nice to control the EMP, which they were able to get, and they were able to get tier 2 EMP, so that's a really big objective. But beyond that, if you're both melee champions, which are often champions taken to the top lane, it's hard to really siege a turret if it's melee versus melee, because if you go into the whack on a turret, they can attack you, and if you try to return fire, you're going to get that turret aggro.
When it comes to melee on melee, I definitely would think that Gascat has the advantage over Doomsday because it has the claws.
That's right. She can poke really well with those claws. We just saw her actually throw out a lot of steam-powered claws. And even more so, often what you do when you're trading is you go and you attack once and then you back away. And the fact that she has that bleed from the sharpened claws means that even if you only hit them once and back away, you're still actually doing a lot of damage from that bleeding sustained damage. Oh, big moves coming in here from Raw Material. They're trying to make something happen. Green Arrow, he went the wrong way. No, he didn't. It was a bait. Leary comes in with Shazam. Gaslight Joker's in a lot of trouble. Are they going to get him? Shazam hits him with the big punch. That takes him out. And actually, Gaslight Batman gets slowed by the root wall. One more shot.
Can't take the heat.
Oh, I feel like maybe Green Arrow should have charged up the ultimate. He's doing it now. Can he get the shot off? Oh! And Gaslight Batman, that one nipped at his coattails.
That was a great bait by Green Arrow there, as you could see that he turned and started putting more damage on Gasbat.
He did. That was really, really smart. I think Raw Material got a little greedy there and he gave up another kill. Just Like to Assassinate, is really playing very solidly. And one of the things that's scary is if you're starting to fall behind a little bit like Raw Material is, the worst thing that can happen is you're falling behind and the other team is the one with the EMP drops.
Just Like to Assassinate has the tier 2 EMP and a 2K credit advantage right now.
Yeah, this is going to be... It's kind of... The question is, when are they going to decide to use that tier 2 EMP? It looks like they're actually going to go for a Raider. Do you think they're ahead enough to make this an easy Raider kill?
I personally don't. I think it's going to be a tough Raider kill, but it doesn't seem like Raw Material has any vision over there, so for all we know, it could go really easy for them.
Yeah, and that's actually a really good point. I mean, people think vision is important just so you don't really get ganked, but it's actually also important so you know, oh no, Shazam! Going down to the Raider, Gaslight Joker coming in here. He doesn't get the Raider kill, and he's actually gonna, oh, actually he could go down. Joker hits him with Mr. Punchy.
Sengo was able to teleport in off the camera there.
Yeah, that was a really great move there from Gaslight Catwoman. A super important reason why it's often good to have teleport here in top lane, so you can come in and help out the team when there's those big fights around objectives.
And this is where I think the difference between Raw Material having all teleport and Just Like to Assassinate having all cameras is really going to play a factor.
It is. It's interesting the fact that they have so many teleports, but we haven't yet seen them get that big like 4-in-2 action when they all teleport to one lane, like ambush the bottom lane that you sometimes see when you have a team with this many teleports. So maybe they all got teleport, but they're feeling a little overwhelmed right now as Just Like to Assassinate has so far been controlling the map, and they're unable to find those good opportunities to use the teleports.
I mean, right there would have been a good opportunity if they had the cameras to teleport to. They needed the vision around that Raider.
Yeah, vision is so important in this game. Without it, you can get into a lot of trouble. In fact, talking about vision, Green Lantern, he has no vision above him. Oh, no, I'm sorry. He did have a surveillance camera, and that's actually told him to dodge at Shazam Ultimate. And if he didn't dodge at Shazam Ultimate, he would have died right there.
Oh, yeah, with Joker could have thrown down a Mr. Punchy and stunned him.
That would have been enough to finish him off. So really, I mean, we see how important vision is, but that one camera may not be enough. They need a few more around the map to make sure they don't make it too easy for Just Like to Assassinate to take those easy objectives like the Raider or the EMPs.
So it still seems that it's a small trade-off bot lane. I mean, we haven't really seen a big 2-on-2 push yet, except without that jungler there for support.
So we're seeing, I mean, Just Like to Assassinate is really far ahead right now. I mean, if you look at a percent-wise basis, they have almost 50% more credits than Raw Material. What are some of the key things they've been doing this game to give themselves that advantage?
Well, for the key things that Just Like to Assassinate has been doing is they've really pushed both lanes to keep the EMP drones on their side of the map. They've had control of those drones the entire game. Raw Material really hasn't put the pressure to push them back to their towers at all.
And I think some of the key things in pushing those lanes, would you say it's that Gaslight Catwoman's done a great job on her own, even early on 1-on-2. And then in the bottom lane, Shazam has been really active and coming in. If Poison Ivy and Batman have ever pushed out a bit, Shazam has been right there to push them back.
And we've only seen Gaslight Joker push bottom lane once, and that was a nice bait, and Shazam was right there, and they had no idea. Raw Material fell behind with that kill right there.
Well, let's see if Raw Material can figure out a way to make a nice comeback. The one lane we haven't really talked about too much is the mid lane, when, you know, often you tend to see people like Star Sapphire, but this time it's Green Lantern against Joker. I believe Flash was banned, and there's no Aquaman anymore in this modified patch. It's not that we're getting rid of him. Aquaman's still around. It's just that he's currently disabled just for a few weeks as we're working on an issue with him. So that's making the mid lane look a little bit different. And we're actually seeing Green Lantern do fairly well, I would say. I mean, he's holding his own at least against the Joker.
Yeah, I think Green Lantern and Joker Prime is a good trade-off for a mid lane. I mean, we have Star Sapphire as another option. There's so many other champions that can be played mid lane.
Yeah, a lot of variety there. And looks like Shazam is lurking. He's got his ultimate up. Oh no, there goes the root. Shazam, where are you? There was his moment to shine, but came in a bit too late.
I think Shazam got out because he knew a camera was coming in, and he got out just in time for all we know.
It almost was like a bait. Like he got out, so Gaslight Batman went forward. There's that EMP dropper running when they were going to use it. There's a Shazam ultimate. Gaslight Batman swings away, but Poison Ivy has no such ability. She goes down. Now they're going in for the turret. I don't know if they can take this, though. There's only a couple drones left to tank for the damage. Actually, there's 4 of them here. Another drone wave. This turret is definitely going down.
Yeah, Joker coming down in that second drone wave is easily going to help them secure that turret without any contention from Gaspat.
Yeah, he does not. I mean, if he tries to contend, he could get picked off very easily with Poison Ivy's ability to root someone down. Meanwhile, in the top lane, you think they would have been under pressure there as they were all on the bottom, but Sengo's done a super great job there with Gaslight Catwoman. We can see Sengo, in fact, is the richest champion in the game, even without any kills yet, just for doing so well in that top lane.
Yeah, he's the highest level too as well. I mean, he's just been farming that top lane without any pressure. We haven't.
Nerdcore almost went down there. That was pretty scary.
Yeah, and here we see Raw Material going for possibly their first EMP.
I think that's a super important thing. They definitely need to start taking some of those objectives. They saw how powerful the EMP was when it was used against them just in that bottom lane right a few minutes ago to secure that tower kill. They want no more EMPs going to Just Like to Assassinate, so at least make sure they don't get the top one.
Here we got another raider for Just Like to Assassinate.
Yeah, where do you think they're going to put that surveillance tower? We can see to use the first surveillance tower here, and for those of you guys who aren't as familiar with what surveillance towers do, they just provide a lot of vision around where they're deployed, and the vision isn't just normal vision, it also detects invisible things. So you can take out the enemies, surveillance cameras, you can see people like Gaslight Catwoman when she goes invisible, or Nightmare Batman.
And this surveillance tower is not an actual stealth tower, so teams like to put them in the stealth pads, and it takes the opposite team to really have to search for it.
It makes it a little bit less likely to be found. Once they are found, like you said, they're not stealth, they can be taken out pretty easily. There's that Shazam ultimate. I think Doomsday is a tough target, though. He's going to be able to sneak away there.
I mean, it looks like they're just going to keep pushing their drone wave and move into that turret and, really push Doomsday back as far as they can.
That's what they're trying to do, and Doomsday is kind of he's a rough laner because Doomsday's strength is pushing people into walls and getting that stun and then dishing out a lot of damage. And that's really strong when you're coming out of the jungle or coming out of a surprise angle, when you can get that angle lined up and knock them into a wall. But when you're laning against someone and they know that that's what Doomsday does, he wants to charge people into walls, they can just angle themselves always, so it's a little bit hard to get that charge in.
And here we see Leary coming down. Too bad he already used his ultimate on Doomsday in the top lane.
He might not even need it, though, to secure the kill on Poison Ivy. Knocks her down slow, so Gaslight Catwoman takes out Gaslight Joker. They drop that tier 2 speed to help them both move and attack faster. And Poison Ivy tries to get top Poison Ivy, but wasn't going to get out of that one. And that's a 2 for 0 there for Team Just Like to Assassinate.
And now Just Like to Assassinate has a 10k credit advantage over Raw Material.
And this is pretty brutal here so far this early in the game. Now, Nerdcore. That was weird. I think he must have... Oh, you know what? He must have had a little claw from one of his presents, probably. Nipped Green Lantern, and now... Oh, a great vanish by Nerdcore. I thought he was in trouble there from Doomsday.
That was a beautiful vanish through the wall.
Yeah, he's really playing spot on. And that's something you really want from your mid laner, is they really want to be spot on, because they kind of anchor the map. If that mid lane's pushed, it gives you a lot more flexibility to move to the top and bottom lane whenever you want.
Yeah, because you usually do see most teams really push all the way through the base, through the middle lane.
Yes, that's the shortest lane. It's the easiest. If you want to just finish off a game, you want to get a good push going fast, that's the fastest way to do so. Yes, Gaslight Batman just ate that fully charged Green Arrow ultimate, and that's something Green Arrow can do. And look at this, he's going to try to take on 2. I feel like he's so far ahead in credits, he may be able to do it, but he's just playing safe. There are so many drones there as well. It's probably wiser to back away like he did. Yeah,
I didn't think he wanted to get the drone aggro, and he knows Poison Ivy's healing capabilities on Gasbat would really give him a top 1v2.
Not to mention her blow kiss ability really kind of neutralizes so much of his damage.
Yeah, a blind marksman is going to do absolutely nothing.
No, and while Gaslight Joker gets torn apart again, he did not get the last laugh that time. That time the last laugh went to Joker Prime with that ultimate there. Laughing Gas does hurt in the game of Infinite Crisis, quite deadly here. And oh no, this bottom turret is undefended. If there's one person you don't leave a turret undefended against, it's a marksman like Green Arrow. Not to mention one who's been so fed throughout the game with probably fully charged Soul Taker's Katana.
Yeah, that was really surprising seeing Gaslight Batman just leave that turret unattended. And now you can see that they're going back, and it might just be too late.
I mean, they're going to get back in time to save it from dying, but it took half its life loss without forcing. I mean, there wasn't a lot of movement there. It wasn't like Just Like to Assassinate devoted resources to take it down. It was just Green Arrow. And now they caught Doomsday out in the jungle alone. Joker's going to drop a surprise. Doomsday's not going to open a present. He's going to run away, but there's the vanish. No will for Mr. Punchy. That's going to allow Doomsday to escape, but Gaslight Batman, did he go too far?
Yeah, Doomsday was just out of range of Joker's presence there.
Oh, the ultimate misses, so Gaslight Batman doesn't get slowed. The snare hits him, though. You think you're going to finish him off here?
Could just did the knockdown.
Oh, that was a nice slow by Atomic Poison Ivy and putting her ultimate there to ward them away.
Yeah, and Green Lantern's chains definitely helped that whole keeping the Just Like to Assassinate slowed behind.
Oh.
Ooh.
Doomsday almost went down to that one.
He was just off a little bit with that ult.
We can hear the music shifted. It's getting tense. Of course, that's what happens when the Leviathan is ready to wake up, and it's getting a little anxious now. The Leviathan is one of those drops. As soon as the first Raider